Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
Hey, yeah. If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Yeah, I don't do fraternities and sororities. To each his own. I have friends, family who are part of the Divine Nine. They're deltas, stuff like that. But I just never been into sororities and fraternities. That's, I'm me, find me. I don't, because to me, and I'm not going to say all of them, but when I lived down south, when I lived in Charlotte, that's when I really found out about, black sororities and fraternities. And it's big. Greek life in the south is big. And I remember listening to my coworkers tell me some of their hazing stories. And you figure these people crossed in, I don't know, child, late 90s, 2000s, before the hazing thing was really talked about. And when they were telling me the stories, I was shocked. And these are people from different fraternities. So Kappas, the Qs, Iotas. And I remember the one guy, he crossed in Alabama. I forget what fraternity he was in. I don't think he was, because ain't the Kappas the pretty boys? He wasn't one of them. No shade. What's the fraternity? And I know the Qs are the hood boys, you know what I'm saying? It was another offshoot fraternity. Maybe the Sigmas. I don't know, child. But he was telling this story about his pledging. And then they all just kind of got to telling their story. And I'm listening to this. And I remember thinking, not even thinking, I interrupted. And I was like, this sounds like a gang initiation. And they kind of got offended. I said, no. I said, they're like, oh, you from up north. You don't get it. You a Yankee. I said, no. I understand, I come from, up north, there's gangs and all that stuff. I said, but the way that you guys are describing it is that y'all got hands and feet put on y'all. Y'all got paddled, beat, burned. And these are supposed to be by people that love you. And then they let you into the fraternity and you got to go through all these different, stages. But it just sounded to me like a very abusive thing. I said, well, the people I know who were jumped into gangs, right? Because I have, gangbanger people that I grew up with. They got their asses whooped by their gang to become, Crips or GDs or whatever. And then, it's the same people who put hands and feet on you, they're not your family. That's why I never understood gang life, gang culture and fraternity culture. To me, it just comes off like a gang. Because my thing is, if you love me, and you want me to be your fraternity brother or sister, why do you have to put hands and feet on me? Why do you have to make me drink until I'm at the brink of alcohol poisoning? Why do you have to do mean stuff to me in order to show me love? Why does abuse have to equate how much strength I have and how much loyalty I will have to an organization? That never made sense to me with fraternities, because fraternities and sororities are supposed to be seen as good things. And gangs are seen as bad things. But in order to get in, it's still the same type of concept. So to me, it comes off very cultish. So I've just, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect nobody, because I know I got Divine Nine people, who are tea sippers, but if you really think about it, a lot of the stuff that y'all went through, especially the older Divine Nine, maybe not. And I thought a lot of the hazing stuff was done. So I was very shocked when this young boy died, because I thought all the hazing stuff, they put an end to it in it really got talked about, I would say the mid 2000s, because it was a lot of people was dying, and then it started being talked about. And that's when you first heard the word about hazing. And let me say this doesn't just happen with sororities and fraternities, but also with football teams, basketball teams, sports teams. Y'all not ready for that conversation. There's also hazing in the locker room. So you have to really talk to your kids about stuff like that. There's a lot of deviant, disgusting stuff that goes on in these locker rooms too. I've heard stories. You know, when people love you, they don't want to inflict harm on you. They don't want to embarrass you. There's no reason that somebody should be shoving things up your ass. That's not love. That's torment and embarrassment. So I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, bands. Thank you, Kelly Beema. She said the bands too. Yes. Matter of fact, one of my friends who was in the band in Atlanta told me a really sad story about how one of his they went through the hazing because they're in because the South, that's the thing down South. The Divine Nine is big. If you don't live down South, you don't get it. But it's like that's like the culture is these sororities and fraternities. And he talking about how his bandmate died during their hazing. So yeah, somebody said FAMU. Wow. Yeah, it's really sad. But yeah, we can. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up the news story real quick about him. Very handsome boy, very handsome, very smart. Just sad. I hate that for him.
WAFB. This is 9.
Let me see if I can. Oh, so they're okay. So they did find there's a second suspect now. Huh. Okay, let's watch the news clip before I go. Since y'all don't want me to leave yet, we're gonna watch this news clip. So it looks like there's a second suspect. But this is him, Caleb.
Partner Greg is on assignment. We start with breaking developments from the WAFB I-team. Over the past 2 hours, a second suspect wanted for the hazing death of Southern student Caleb Wilson has been captured with the help of the Middle Louisiana Fugitive Task Force. Kyle Thurman was taken into custody around 3:30 this afternoon at his home in Port Allen. Our sources say he had a deadline to turn himself in over the weekend, and when he did not show, investigators went looking for him today. Meanwhile, when minutes mattered, arrest documents show fraternity members appear to be in no rush to get help for Southern student Caleb Wilson the night he collapsed after being hit in the chest. Documents show they took time to change his clothes before dropping him off at the hospital. Those details are raising new questions about the timeline of events the night he died. It comes as funeral arrangements have finally been made.
So Caleb was in the band, right? He wasn't, he was one of the band members. I mean, think about that. If somebody loves you and cares about you, why do they need to punch you in your chest? Why do you have to inflict harm on me but you care about me? You care so much that instead of taking me straight to the hospital, you change my clothes to hide evidence. This is so sad. And he's a little guy. He doesn't look like a big old, 6 foot, 250 swollen. He looks like just, a small guy. So I can imagine what those bruises did to him, like getting hit in the chest.
His young life. Our chief investigator, Chris Nakamoto, is here now with more on what he's learned today. And Chris, it is a lot.
Good evening, Liz. 3 individuals are all facing felony hazing charges. A second suspect, as you just said, Kyle Thurman, is in custody tonight in connection with Wilson's death. The East Baton Rouge Parish Coroner's Office confirmed to WAFB today Wilson's body was released to a funeral home late last week, but tonight the cause and manner of death is still pending further testing.
This is exclusive video of 23-year-old Caleb McCrae walking out of the East Baton Rouge Parish Jail late Friday night. It happened hours after Commissioner Keena Kimball set his bond at $100,000. McCrae is charged with the most serious charges tied to the death of Caleb Wilson: criminal hazing and manslaughter, both felonies. Now we've learned frat members from Omega Psi Phi who were gathered at this white warehouse where pledges were taking blows to the chest with boxing gloves appeared to be in no rush to get Wilson medical assistance.
So he was pledging Omega. Oh wow. I didn't even know what fraternity he was pledging. And the other guy is 23 years old as well. Y'all have just thrown y'all's lives away. And for what?
at the hospital.
Don't have exact timeline that we're ready to release as far as when Caleb first collapsed at this warehouse and then when he arrived at the hospital.
The exact events and how they transpired inside are still murky, but we have a clearer picture of the delay in seeking help for Wilson from arrest documents. Warrants show after Caleb collapsed, the pledges moved to a separate room where leadership attended to Wilson. Wilson was later loaded into a vehicle and transported to BRG Bluebonnet, where he was pronounced dead by medical personnel. It should be noted that Wilson's clothing was changed prior to his arrival at the hospital. It was around 2:40 in the morning when uniformed officers were dispatched to the hospital, where staff advised investigators that males who dropped him off said he collapsed at a Breck Park. That lie.
This was taking place around 2:30 in the morning. All this screams to me is a ritual. It's almost 3 o'clock, witching hours.
Unraveled. As the I-Team reported last week, they were never at a park for that unsanctioned hazing ritual and were inside this warehouse instead. Sources say once Wilson collapsed inside the warehouse, he never regained consciousness. Clothes were changed and he was driven to the hospital, all while he was unresponsive. Tonight we've learned in addition to the charges McCray faces, 2 other individuals are also facing felony criminal hazing charges.
And as we said, Thurman was arrested in Port Allen with the help of U.S. Marshal's Office. One other individual, Isaiah Smith, is supposed to turn himself in tomorrow. Smith is the son of Todd Smith, who leased the warehouse where the hazing happened. Southern says all 3 suspects are current students. For the WAFB I-Team, I'm Chris.
Now, Todd Smith done got his daddy in trouble. And his daddy probably ain't had nothing to do with the mess. So this is sad. Rest in peace to him. But yeah, I saw this. I forgot his name was Caleb Wilson, but I saw this story. Very handsome young man. I mean, that is just horrible. That is horrible. That is just, it's sad. I don't understand like the whole hazing thing. I don't get it. And, you know, like I said, I thought a lot of the hazing stuff, especially with the fraternities and sororities, I thought a lot of that stuff died down in the mid-2000s. So it looks like now they're not doing it on campus. They're taking it off of campus and doing it, you know, in warehouses and stuff like that. But even like with some of the girls, you know, they got beat too to get, you know, into their different organizations. So it's sad. And I'm not saying that every chapter does this. You know, of course, there's different chapters who do not participate. But again, if you talk to people, they're not ever, and that's another thing too that I didn't like, is that a lot of the hazing, a lot of the stuff that they went through when they crossed over, it's secret stuff. Like you're never supposed to talk about what you went through. So that's why, you know, for me to be involved in that conversation was a big deal because they're not supposed to talk about it. And so, but I was just sitting there sipping tea because I'm like, you know, tell me more. But what happened? Because I was just, you know, and then I didn't like the fact that they had those burn marks, like the branding. You know, I'm just a girl from up north. So I'm just like, all this shit is new to me. And I remember like, just like, well, why do y'all brand yourselves? Like, don't that remind you like slavery? Like they used to do that to the slaves. Like they were cattle. So they would know what slave was owned to what master. You know, I just find it weird. Even some of the girls have brandings on themselves. Like the ones who are like really deep in, you know, into whatever organization. I haven't seen them AKA girls. I ain't never seen none of them with it, but I seen a few Deltas, you know, that branded that triangle sign on them. I don't know. I just feel like when you're doing all that, to me, it's not much different than a gang. Because you have gangs who brand themselves too. So I don't know. I just thought it was just weird. It's sad. It's sad. But I'm going to say this. If somebody wants you to be a part of an organization, it shouldn't take them harming you, putting hands on you, putting hands and feet on you. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if they really cared about you, why would they be giving you blows to your chest? And you know, we got to start talking to our kids and letting them know it is not that serious. You don't need to be in a fraternity if it's something where it's going to put your health at risk, something that could kill you, where they're going to have you, you know, binge drink alcohol or get punched. It is not that serious. So it's just sad. I just feel bad that he felt the need to have to want to fit in that bad, that he allowed people to, punch him in his chest. And again, just like the story we talked about earlier with the track girl hitting that other girl in the head with the baton. You never know what hit or blow can take you out. The people don't understand how fragile the human body is. The fact that we get up every day and we see a new day is a blessing. You know how many people didn't wake up who died in their sleep last night? So like any little thing, any hit, that hit to the head with that baton could have killed that girl. If she would have hit her in the wrong portion of her head, she could have killed her instantly. Just like they went into this situation, they're just going to punch him in the chest. It's no big deal. We're punching him in the chest with, with boxing gloves on. But obviously somebody hit him the wrong way or was way too many blows, and it caused his heart to stop, and he died. That is frightening. Who are we? Let's see here. Queen Harsh sent $4.99, says, no, I don't care if they are offended. Fraternities and sororities are a cult under Freemason. I said what I said. Oh, yeah. It goes deep with the fraternities. I'm not hitting on them, but yeah, it goes deep. I've been seeing a lot of people, and I don't know if some of them are doing this for attention or they're being sincere, but I watched a few podcasts of people who have, I don't want to say dethroned because it's not a palace, who have resigned or resonated. I don't know what the proper term is. Like when you don't want to be a part of your sorority or fraternity, maybe y'all can write it in the chat. But they're all over like TikTok and YouTube where they're like denouncing, like the Divine Nine. Oh, no, I'm not doing a deep dive on that. I'm not interested in doing a deep dive on that. Oh, it's called denouncing? Oh, okay. I thought it was some type of, okay, never mind. I thought they had like a fancy fraternity, sorority name. Okay, just denounce. Okay. So just a regular English word. I thought they had like a special name for it. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people denouncing the Divine Nine, giving back their membership, saying they want no parts of it, saying that they found Christianity. So it's deep. I've gone down a few of those Divine Nine rabbit holes. We've even had some people on Discord denounce and give back their memberships because they got a calling to God and they just felt it wasn't right anymore for them to continue being a part of a sorority. So there's some people that we know who have, given back their memberships and stuff like that. And I don't know if there's like retribution. Like, do people come after them? Is it like blood in, blood out, like with the gangs? If you denounce your gang, it's blood in, blood out. So they might come after you and harm you. They said once you get jumped into a gang, you can't get out of it. So I don't know if there's any like retribution if people come after these folks for denouncing, but there's a lot of them on TikTok. Yeah, they denounce all the time. So I don't know, y'all. Just, just stay prayed up. Just stay prayed up. I just don't think it's that serious. But again, that's not for everybody. I have very close people to me who are part of the Divine Nine, and they're good people, and they do charity work and they do a lot of stuff. So every chapter is different, but I just hate the fact that Hazing never left, because I really did not know what was still going on until this young man passed. But yeah, there's some horror stories. A lot of them, they won't talk about it, but there's some horror stories. And to me, it just comes off like a gang. Because even, I remember one time we were at a party and some people there were doing the dance. They were doing like the Q dance. Like, sorry, I don't, how they do the little dance. And the dude that we was with, he like went and checked them. He was like, oh, okay, where did you cross at? What year? Like, he started making, like in gang culture, we call that spitting your lick. Like, if you see somebody throwing up, Crip or blood or something, gang members are going to come and, G-check you like, hey, what set you from? Who jumped you in? Who's your big homie? And so I'm like, So to me, I don't care what y'all say. To me, it comes off like some type of fancy bougie gang. Because I watched them, he checked, they were dancing. You know how them cute dogs get? Them cues, they don't play. And he walked over, he checked them. He was like, okay, what school you went to? When did you cross? And so I asked him, I was like, what is that about? I said, what, they can't do the dance? He was like, no, you have to be a Q member. You can't just be doing the dance. Ain't no renegade shit. And I'm just like, damn, this is so gang-like. But okay. Yeah, he checked them right there at the party. And then once, you know, they were able to like confirm that they were real Qs, then they all started, oh, woo. Let's put the boots in the chat. Yeah, y'all know them Qs, honey, with the boots and stuff. Then they all started doing the little dance. I was like, oh, okay. So they do not play in the South. They do not play. And I've even heard that on certain college campuses, like you can't like walk past their dorm room or sit on their benches. It's all types of weird cliquish shit. I've heard a lot of stuff, but I would never forget that. Yeah, them nasty dogs, honey. They will check you. And I remember when I first moved down south, to Charlotte, because they would like, I think like on certain days they would wear purple and gold. You know, me not knowing, I'm like, oh, you got Team Vikings. I thought they were Vikings fans. They're like, Vikings? No, we're Qs, baby. We're Qs. I'm like, oh. I missed this. I had to get back down to Charlotte. I miss Charlotte. Them was the days. Oh, yeah, like, Vikings. Girl, nah, we Q dogs. I'm like, oh, shit. I thought I found fellow Vikings fans. But, you know, like I said, there's a lot of cool people that I know personally in sororities and fraternities. But, you know, I can't lie. I've witnessed stuff, you know, living down south where I'm like, this is very gangish. You know, this gives me gang vibes. You know, confronting people at parties who are simply dancing. And then I asked him, I said, well, what if, you know, when you confronted them, what if they weren't able to verify where they crossed and all that stuff? He said flat out, I would have whooped their ass. Oh, okay. Sounds like a gang thing to me, but okay. So, yeah, but they passed the check. They were real Qs. So they just all broke out in this big old dance. So that's my story about the fraternities and sororities, child.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.